Hey guys, how's it going? This is Alex from D2R, and this is my Harley Super Glide Sport, or as you guys may know, the Fxdx. This bike was not something I was planning on buying, but I saw it come up on the auction listing, and it's an Fxdx. It is one of the most sought after early model dynos you could get. And when I saw it in person, it was in relatively good cosmetic exterior condition, and I ended up winning the bid on it. It's like my third one. Just keep rolling. I run out of breath. The thing with this bike is when I first got it, there was no information on the bike whatsoever. It was covered in an inch of dirt, had no key, no registration, no title, no information, no record, no nothing. It was just a physical bike, and that was it. I didn't have any information on whether it ran before or if it was with a blown motor or anything. And it was covered in dirt, so it was really hard to tell what the actual physical condition was. It obviously wasn't crashed, but it was really, really dirty. And spoiler alert, she's up and running now. She runs. She's clean titled. She's registered in California now. She's roadworthy and legal worthy. All the paperwork is up to date. There's no back fees. I paid everything. Did a CHP inspection, the whole 9 yards. This bike is officially a street legal California bike. Now, as I was trying to get this bike running, because it didn't run when I got it, I filmed most of it, and I thought to myself, hey, why don't I make an episode going over everything I did to the bike and pass on the information to you guys, right? So if you guys are looking to get an auction Harley or a barn find Harley or just a Harley in general that needs mechanical work, I'm going to pass on some information that I do. This is going to be more directed towards somebody who's not mechanically inclined or doesn't really know much about Harleys. This is just essentially a basic checklist that I do and process of how I get these bikes reconditioned and started again. You could use this guide to get the bike started. Remember, I'm not a mechanic, so if you have any comments on what I do or any extra steps I should be taking, go ahead and leave them down below, but it's worked out for me so far. So first thing you always want to do is I used to check the oil and check the condition of the oil, but that's not something I do anymore because I've had incidents where the engine doesn't run, and there's no point in changing and checking the oil if the motor is blown. You want to make sure that it has compression. The way you do that is by jump starting the starter. I have some footage of how I did that, but this piece of the starter right here, you want to peel back this rubber boot right here. This foreskin needs to be peeled back like when you pee. You're going to take an external 12-volt battery, whether it's a car battery or a motorcycle battery, connect some jumper cable leads to them. You want to ground out the negative terminal on the bike. And then the positive terminal is going to go on this little piece right here. And then after you do that, you're going to jump power to it. It's going to spin the flywheel. It's going to spin the crank, and in turn, it's going to move the pistons and create compression. It's not a foolproof bench test, but it'll give you some indication on what the condition of the inside of the motor is. If you end up doing this bench test and you get compression and everything's good, you can move on to the next step. For this bike specifically, this bench test for me failed. The starter did not work, it did not spin, and when it would spin, it wouldn't properly engage the flywheel. There's a lot of variables that could go wrong when it comes to these bench tests. For example, if your external battery is a little low, or if your leads aren't grounded correctly, you're going to get the starter not being able to complete the circuit to do the whole process. So I know that there could be a lot of variables that might not work for this bench test. So I removed the primary And when I removed the primary, I was able to film what the actual starter was doing. It wasn't engaging. So at that point, I ended up removing the starter. Whoops. And I had another starter actually for this bike. I bench test both of them side by side with the same battery, same test. And it turned out that the starter was in fact bad. And instead of rebuilding the starter, I ended up just swapping out the starter, and the bike ended up creating compression. While I had the primary open, I was able to see what the condition of that was. I recommend you always change the gaskets on your primary, and I had it open already, so it ended up being convenient for me. When it comes to diagnosing anything on these bikes, you want to make sure you use some type of process of elimination. In my case, I changed out the starter relay and I got a brand new battery for it just to make sure that the starter would actually run. And I also bench tested the new starter just to double check. So if there was any other issues after that point, I knew it had something to do with wiring or something else. All right, so if you have compression and everything's good on that end, you could then drain the oil. It's essential to always drain the oil and check the condition of the oil. A lot of times what I do is I also pull the oil pan. You got to make sure that the oil baffle inside these early model Dyna oil pans are in good condition. Sometimes the plastic from the oil baffle will eat up the inside of the oil pan and create a lot of metal shavings in your oil, which is this thing right here. Will scrape on the inside of the oil pan itself, and it's just going to cause a bunch of metal shavings to be in your oil all the time. You got to make sure you drop the oil pan and clean it so you don't get scared when you see a bunch of metal. This is something that most people will never do, and I think it's just something that will give you peace of mind, just because if the oil pan is clean, you know there's going to be no metal shavings in the oil, and if there is, then you have another problem. General rule of thumb is just always clean out that oil pan and get a new gasket for it. It'll create a lot of peace of mind when it comes to your oil change. And then make sure you change your oil filter, obviously. While you're draining your oil, or while the bike has no oil, what you want to do next, remove your cam cover and inspect your cam chest. With these early model dynos, as you guys know, they usually come with a spring-loaded cam tensioner from the factory. You're going to want to make sure that it's running good and the cam tensioner shoe is not destroyed. It's like a polymer or a rubber or something like that. I really don't know what the material is, but point is, it's a common fail point on these early model dynos. Fortunately for my situation is when I opened up the cam cover and inspected it, I did have an upgraded cam tensioner. I had actually a Screaming Eagle hydraulic cam tensioner, which is always a very, very good thing. It's going to show that somebody did take the time to upgrade this bike properly. It's the most important upgrade on this bike in my opinion, and it already had it. So gold star for whoever had this bike. That's great. If you see that, it's a very good sign. If you have an OEM cam tensioner, just want to make sure that the cam tensioner shoe is good. You want to make sure everything in there is good, and always get a fresh gasket for the cam chest cover. In this case, I also got new bolts for it. After you check your cam cover, you want to make sure your carburetor is good. Whenever you have a carburetor, you want to make sure your butterfly or your sliding door is opening and closing properly. After that, if everything's good, you want to make sure that your spark plugs are brand new. This is something that people never switch out on Harleys for some reason. Always replace them. So if you guys don't have a key, that's okay. These Harleys are very easy to bypass. Behind this ignition switch over here, if there is one, there's gonna be 3 wires. What you wanna do is cut those 3 wires. And in theory, if you were to put those 3 wires together, not the ones on the ignition side, but the ones that lead to the bike, strip the insulation off the wire, put them together with a wire net or some aluminum foil or something like that, you're gonna get power. You're gonna get the ignition switch to do everything it's supposed to do, and you're gonna be able to start the bike. After changing the starter, changing the fluids, changing the gaskets for the primary inspection cover, and the cam chest, washing the bike really good, I was ready to start the bike. So in the case of this Harley, after all that was checked, spark plugs, fresh battery, always put a fresh battery, because if you end up putting a battery that's old or not charged, you're gonna create a unknown problem that you might not even know about. So just eliminate that. Always get a new battery, always get a fresh battery. After you hotwire the bike and you start it, and if it starts good like how this bike did, then congratulations, you just turned on your first auction Harley, and you did it at a price point that is subpar compared to what you would have paid on Facebook Market for a brand new clean one. From this point forward, you could ride it, you could build it how you want, you could sell it, you could do whatever you want. It's a pretty great feeling to see something abandoned or crashed or destroyed and then bringing it back. That's why I do this. So when this bike started and everything was good, it was like a huge relief. And I hope I could pass on that feeling to you with some of this information. It was properly inspected by the DMV, the VIN verification office. It It was also inspected by the CHP verification people. This bike has been the biggest money pit in terms of all the project bikes I've had from the auction. So if I do sell it, I do need to make some money back, and it is going to be priced accordingly. Obviously, the physical cosmetic condition is not perfect, but it is a bike from the year 2000. So yes, this bike will be for sale relatively soon. If you're interested, you'll probably see it on Facebook Marketplace or OfferUp, or you could probably just message me on YouTube or my Instagram, whatever you guys want to do.
Choke.
If there's anything I gloss over a little too quick and you want more information on, you can just message me through YouTube, Instagram, or leave a comment down below, and I'll get back to you. The more I talk about this bike, the more I keep yapping. So, are we good?